Steven, were you more stuffed from your 2-week honeymoon in Italy or your Thanksgiving meal?
I'd say the 2-week honeymoon in Italy because I don't know if I was stuffed the entire time, but I definitely gained way more weight in those 2 weeks than one night on a Thursday.
Yeah, I guess that's a dumb question because that's 2 weeks of constant eating as opposed to just, I guess, 2 days. Because you did
Yeah,
leftovers yesterday, right? I'm assuming.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Is that a turkey on top of your head?
Yes, it is,
Oh,
Derek.
nice.
Yes, it is. It's an inflatable turkey.
Oh, gobble gobble to
An
you.
inflatable turkey. There were inflatable pilgrim hats celebrating the genocide that was the Pilgrims and Native Americans in Thanksgiving.
About to say, those pilgrims, we celebrate them. They're kind of assholes.
Yeah, the family chat. We have a family chat with our England family on WhatsApp, and my cousin asked what Thanksgiving is for again, and I gave a very lighthearted version of it. I just said, "No, the Pilgrims and Native Americans sat down and broke bread and had a nice little meal together." And I was like, "This was it." And then I texted her on the side because I didn't want to text the entire family chat to remind them that those pilgrims also raped, pillaged, and slaughtered however many pilgrims, much more than the group that sat down for dinner.
Yeah, it's kind of the Disneyfication of history. Like,
Yes.
yeah, come on, Pocahontas got along with John Smith. It's all good.
Yeah. It's a good thing that it's a good thing that 95.7 never put Rick Tittle on Thanksgiving because he was always very blunt when it came to holidays.
Okay.
Like I remember Valentine's Day, he opened up the show. Me and him were working.
Oh, St. Valentine.
Yes, he's like,
Yeah.
just a reminder that this has to do.
Yeah.
This holiday is based off of the St. Valentine massacre, and then he starts giving
Great movie, great mafia moment, but I don't know why people give each other Hallmark cards.
Yeah, so no wonder they never had him working on Thanksgiving.
Speaking of which, I remember one Truth Machine I did back in the day where I did a whole thing where it was like back and forth between me and the Truth Machine. I was talking to the Truth Machine. It was really state-of-the-art special effects, Steven. And at the very end, we were about to go on Thanksgiving vacation. And I was like, all right, Truth Machine, happy Thanksgiving. And he goes, happy Thanksgiving to you too, Derek. But remember, those pilgrims were terrible people. And Truth Machine was always controversial, but that one got a lot of like, whoa, what are you talking about there? I was like, just keep it real, guys.
No, it's true. It's true. And we do this weird thing where we celebrate it. I was actually watching this English comedian. His name's James Acaster. He was on Seth Meyers. And
boy, that is the most British name I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, he's got a special on HBO now. It's called Heckler's Welcome. I haven't seen it yet, but he basically invites people to heckle him on stage. It's pretty funny.
What's it on?
HBO.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you said that.
Or Max. But he brings up they ask him about Thanksgiving and July 4th, and he's like, quite a creative name you have for July 4th. Yeah, July 4th. Yeah, we celebrate it too on July 4th because we have a July 4th as well. The other thing, Thanksgiving and Christmas, you think of all these names, the July 4th. Really original. No. Then he's like, and then don't you get me started on Thanksgiving and what you celebrate that for. It's really good.
I need to check that out. What's the guy's name?
James Acaster. He is
James Acaster. I need to check that out. And everyone keeps talking about Sam Morril, so I need to check out his stuff on, I think, Prime.
He's good. Yeah, his special's good on Prime. He's like this. He's a big Knicks fan, so he's like always on Levitard, and he's been doing stand-up for a while. He's part of that Rogan crew, you know. He does a podcast. Yeah. With Mark Norman. He's
oh, okay. I heard Norman talk about him.
He's funny. He's got that style of comedy where he's a storyteller, and he does a lot of, and he's like this, and then she's like that, and then she's like this, and then after a while it can get a little bit repetitive, but it's still funny. I find
myself doing that sometimes too when I tell stories where like, so then he was like this, and then kind of like, you know, because you have to let people know when you actually are like, it's not your voice anymore, it's somebody else.
Yeah. You're trying to put it on someone else. No, he has a funny perspective on things, on just like the regular, boring, old day-to-day stuff that we deal with every day. He has a funny perspective on everything. So I recommend him too.
Well, I'll say this, that the outcomes of these Thanksgiving games were not boring. They were quite interesting. But before we get into those,
couple of them, only one, I guess.
well, I guess the Cowboys-Giants game was ho-hum, and the Packers-Dolphins game, that was kind of your nice pie-eating moment with your family, and kind of just, walk like you're sitting around, your grandpa sitting next to you or your uncle, and you're like, is Jordan Love guy pretty good? What about this Tua guy?
Yeah.
And that's what that game was.
Right.
We'll get into the ending of the Lions and Bears and Raiders and Chiefs. Before we do all that, how was your Thanksgiving, Stephen? Where'd you go? Who'd you spend it with?
Oh, it was with the father-in-law. Now they are my family as well.
Tony.
Yeah, at Tony's house and Jesse's grandma and all that sort of stuff. So we kind of cram into their little home. Her aunt and uncle, her cousin, a couple of cousins. It's the group that we always do every holiday with, really. So just your kind of run-of-the-mill Thanksgiving. Nothing special about it. Good food, good people.
No,
good
nothing with you and Jenny?
That was in Livermore. They stayed in Livermore for this one because Jesse sacrificed spending Thanksgiving with her fam in San Jose last year for the one in Livermore.
Gotcha.
So I went to Sunnyvale this time. What about you? How was it in Florida?
It was nice. Me, my mom, and my little brother Andrew all just hung around. We all cooked. And when I say we all cooked, they cooked. I kind of chilled on the couch, drank Bloody Marys, and watched football.
No way.
Yeah, I know. But no, it was a good time. Had a little Smokies and all the things I was talking about last time with the appetizers, the Smokies and the pigs in a blanket, basically, and pepperoni and brie. And then when we got to the main course, I was already kind of stuffed because I was picking out on appetizers all day and drank about 3 Bloody Marys. So by the time it was, we were going to eat the turkey and salad and baked potato, it was good, but I was like, I can't eat all of this. So ate that and then ate a little bit of chocolate pie for the Packers-Dolphins game.
You are the worst.
Yeah, I know.
You are the worst. You sit, you don't cook.
Okay.
They're munching on the little appetizers that they make. And by the time that you go to eat all the food that they've worked really hard to make, you're like, I'm not hungry.
No. I ate it all. It was a lot. It was quite filling. And, I should say, the morning of, dude, that horseradish, never again. Yeah. The stomach problems I had that night, and then the result the next morning, oof. And then I was like, okay, I'm good. Let's do Thanksgiving. And I helped. I'm joking when I say that. I helped out with food and everything. For the most part, my brother did a good job. We didn't do the mayonnaise thing, but he lathered up a really good butter and put like red pepper sauce, or red pepper flakes, I should say, and different things. We lathered that all over the turkey, put it in. He was saying like we should cook it for like 4 hours when he totally overestimated that. It was like maybe 2. Let it sit for a little bit. And yeah, I helped out with the salad. I'm really good at making salads, tossing salad, you might say. And just make everybody drinks. It was a good old time. And yeah, I got progressively drunk and ate a lot during the day. And then when it came to time to eat the turkey, I ate most of it, but I was pretty stuffed. And then I had to make room for pie. Gotta make room for pie.
Yeah, of course. We had cheesecake. We had pumpkin pie, which I didn't have any of.
Cheesecake's always good. Love cheesecake.
And we also had Kringle. So Kringle's delicious.
Kringle?
Kringle.
What the hell's that? Like Kris Kringle?
No, not Kris Kringle. Yes, we ate Kris Kringle.
Yeah, you ate like Santa Claus cookies.
No, it's like a little Danish dish. It's like a pastry. It's like a circular pastry, and you like take a little bit of it. You just cut a little piece off and you eat it. It's almost like
a cruller.
Yes, similar to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's Kringle. It's good.
Kringle. All right. Good. No, my mom made a pumpkin pie, but the bottom was burnt, so I really didn't enjoy that one that much.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right. Raiders lose the day after Thanksgiving on Black Friday, 19-17. And going into the game, and Antonio Pierce was like, "Let's call it what it is." The narrative is it's the worst team of football against the best team of football. And we kind of made fun of him for that. He was being honest, but you can't really go about that when you say like you're the guy that knows how to stop Mahomes and the Chiefs. But for the most part, once again, they played him close, and this is a game the Raiders should look back and say they should have won this game. But then again, as fans, Raider fans, you're watching this game and you're like, I don't really care. Maybe you want to win games, maybe you want to lose games. I thought Noah Michaels made a really good point while I was watching the game, where he was saying, I know fans are talking about how they want to, lose the rest of the season. And, then, the players are going to be like, well, we still want to have our jobs next year. Our coaches want to be employed. So it makes me think about that too. But I didn't think it was a bad thing in the end result of this game. But let's get into it. I thought Aiden O'Connell looked way more comfortable than Gardner Minshew did at any point this season. We talked about how he kind of played off script for most of the season and, was running around trying to find open guys. This was more schemed up. The play action was good. The running game got going. They rushed for over 100 yards as a team for the first time since week 7. 5 sacks on Mahomes. It was a good game plan. The bottom line in this game was Daniel Carlson doesn't have the leg as much as he did in the past.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with him. He's got I think it's more mental with him than just physical. It's not like his leg got weaker. I mean, the guy's, how old is he? He's not that old. He's like in his mid-20s. So it's not like he got weaker, but it's certainly a mental thing. Like the Jake Moody missed field goals. That game, it's just because it got progressively worse. He was in his own head. It feels like Daniel Carlson's been in his own head all season. Like last year, what happened? It was him and AJ Cole. AJ Cole's still sick, but it was him and AJ Cole. They were a couple of the best kicker-punter duos in the league. And Daniel Carlson's just regressed to the point where he's almost unrecognizable. Like that. I mean, granted, the Raiders put him in a crappy situation. I mean, what was the last missed field goal? It was like a
58 yards.
Yeah, 58 yards. And the dude hit his foot, like 3 inches before the actual bottom of the football.
Yeah.
Like that's how you hit a sand wedge shot, Derek. That's the whole point. When you hit out of a bunker, you're meant to aim like before the ball. You're not meant to hit the ball because it's going to go sailing. You're trying to hit like 2 or 3 inches ahead of it in the dirt so that you push it up with the sand. That's like what his foot did with the ball, except he's kicking a football, not hitting a bunker shot.
Yeah, Kirk Herbstreit was really good at pointing that out during the broadcast. He's got like whatever McPherson's going through this season. It's not that he's old. It's not like a Justin Tucker thing where he may not have it anymore. Daniel Carlson's just got the yips. Yeah. And I don't know how many missed field goals he has this season, but 3 in this game. And he did have the leg earlier in his career, not like a Jano leg, but pretty good from distance. It wasn't like a snowstorm in Kansas City, but you expect him to make some of these field goals. He missed from 56, 55, and 58. And the 58-yarder one was ridiculous, I thought. Now, you could say like he needs to make that. I would say it's very similar to when DeMeco Ryans decided to kick a 58-yard field goal with Kyrie Fairbairn. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but the kicker for the Texans. And Fairbairn. Yeah, exactly. Daniel Carlson, it was 2:28 left in that game. 2:21 left in that game when they started to do the 58-yard field goal. And it was very similar to when the Texans and Lions played a couple weeks ago, where DeMeco Ryans was facing like a 4th and 4, and they decided to go for a 58-yard field goal, which you really knew that kicker was not going to make that.
Right.
So I had no faith that Daniel Carlson was going to make the 58-yard field goal. I think you're better off just punting in that situation. When you miss from 56 and 55, what makes you believe that he's going to make a 58-yard field goal out in the elements? So then, they missed that.
Well, look at it. Well, hang on. Look what's on the screen here. Look at it. He's already missed 5 field goals this year. Hasn't done that since 2019 and since 2020. 2 missed field goals in 2020, 3 in 2021, 3 in 2022, 4 in 2023, and 5 in 2024. And he hasn't even played another 5 games yet. This is a career worst for him.
And 4 of those misses from 50 plus. So, not good for Daniel Carlson this season.
God, man, that 2022 season, 11 for 13 from 50 plus out. That's crazy.
Yeah, he was really good that season. But, so then they missed the field goal, Chiefs punt. There was a moment there where they may have gone for it on 4th and 2, but I knew Andy Reid wasn't going to do that because if you go for it on 4th and 2 and don't get it, you set up the Raiders for a really good situation to kick the field goal and beat you. But then they're driving, and Aiden O'Connell, man, I have to give it to Aiden O'Connell. He did not lose this game for the Raiders. I thought the touchdown pass to Trey Tucker was really good. He was, I'm not saying he's the guy going forward, but I would keep him as the backup. I think he's a solid backup, and, if you got to win a game like this or, whatever, like, not going to be the bridge guy, but for whatever the next regime is, I don't think it's terrible to keep Aiden O'Connell as your backup QB, but he's not the guy. I think you and I have discussed that for enough time now. Yeah. But to get him in field goal range, for where they were from when the whole fiasco happened, it was going to be a 50-yard field goal. And I completely understand, like some people argue, well, why would you run another play? Just kick the field goal and win the game. I completely understand why Antonio Pierce wanted to get more yardage just to keep Daniel Carlson out of his own head. It's going to be a 50-yard field goal. It would be the shortest attempt of the day, but you would have got a little bit closer. I mean, 50 yards is 50 yards still. You want to get a little bit closer just to make him a little more confident for that last field goal. Well, and then Jackson Powers Johnson does his thing.
Well, hang on. Well, you're saying you could have gotten a few extra yards, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying out of that?
Yes.
Well, that's not what Antonio Pierce thought they wanted to do with that play.
The ball's, we was going to snap the ball and really just throw the ball out of bounds and just the ball's at the 32-yard line and kill 4 or 5 more seconds, kick a 49-yard field goal. I actually had to watch. I mean, there's a whistle. There's a lot. Last play, there was a lot going on, from officiating to the flag to the ball being snapped. I gotta look at film.
Elegant film.
God, I love when those things now, when you have the subtitles and they're totally off.
Yep. He wanted to kill the clock. That's the only reason.
The clock was running?
No, the clock was because it was called a false start, right? Or was it not called a false start on that flag? I forgot.
It was a legal procedure.
That's right. Yeah, or a legal shift or whatever it was.
Well, a legal shift. And I was wondering, okay, if it's a false start, then that shouldn't be a fumble and should be the Raiders football. But if it's not a false start, it happened. Jackson Powers Johnson, bad snap, fumble, Chiefs win. So they were out of timeouts at that point. I want to double check that.
Yeah,
but they were
out of timeouts.
Okay. So the clock was running. They were just wanting to run around and not run a play at all.
That's what he said.
Well, that's even more dumb now.
That tells me that even with 10 seconds on the clock, they're scared of Patrick Mahomes, which make this look even worse because before the season, you're saying you have Mahomes rules, and now your coach is scared because you have 15 seconds left. We've seen Mahomes win it with like 17 seconds left on the clock or some crazy number like that. But just run a few seconds off the clock and throw it out of bounds, not even get a play. Ugh.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have done that. What down was it when they kicked the field goal?
When they kicked it, or like when they?
Oh, sorry. When they snapped. Sorry, they didn't kick the field goal.
It was third. It was a third down. It was 3rd and 3.
Yeah, you would kick it there in case it's a bad snap. Yeah, that's dumb. That's incredibly dumb. Now, I would not have said that. The better situation would have been to run a quick out and make sure your receiver gets along the sidelines to stop the clock.
Yeah,
to get a little bit more yardage. No, that's incredibly dumb. No, he shouldn't have said that.
Yep.
Okay, well, that changes things.
He is not helping himself at all.
No, I mean, I was going to come on here and say, regardless, Antonio Pierce, for what he did a season ago, he deserved this job. I'm not denying that. I had my reservations about it. I thought there were more accomplished coaches out there in Belichick and Vrabel or, who else. But he did earn the right to become head coach of the Raiders after that win in Kansas City, and however many games he won, they finished 8-9. He deserved it. But this season, he deserves to be fired because he's just not good with clock management. He galvanized the team last year, but like I told you, I didn't know how much of a leader he was going to be when things go bad. So I don't think he's the brightest coach. I don't understand the whole situation of kicking the 58-yard field goal. You have to know, you have to read the room. You have to understand that your kicker is not going to make that right there. And he's turning off guys like Devontae Adams, and that was a whole situation in itself. But nothing has shown, like there's situations where I've seen like, okay, Gerard Mayo, he called out his team and called them soft, but maybe he can lead this team going forward. There's other guys that are having poor seasons, but you see something. I don't see anything in Antonio Pierce as far as like that's the coach going forward. That's the guy that's going to lead the Raiders to another Super Bowl. This guy, let's be real, he epitomizes the Raiders as a Raider fan or Raider player, what you want. And fans like that. He was smoking his cigars. He got the guys, jumping around the locker room. But now that's done with. Now it's old news, and we need guys that can compete with the best of the best in that division. And I don't think they have that right now.
I'm going to ask the same question that I ask of the 49ers and Brandon Staley. What is the point of Joe Philbin? What is the point of Marvin Lewis?
Yeah.
What is the point of bringing in a Tom Coughlin? Like, you bring in all these veteran head coaches, yet you're doing the one thing wrong that you're meant to do. Manage the clock. That is like the number one job for head coaches, because honestly, managing the clock is something that regular average Joes, just NFL fans, can do from their couch. Honestly, like any of us can. Like, managing a clock is not that complicated. Sometimes other head coaches are much better than others, but at the very least, it's not that hard. And maybe it's not a clock mismanagement thing here with Antonio Pierce, but like that whole situation, it's just time after time. Like, I don't know if the Raiders would be, 4-8 on this year, or 3-9 if maybe Antonio Pierce made a couple of right decisions. But God, it just doesn't feel like this team is clicking on any cylinder at all. This car hasn't even got moving yet.
No,
like they've just been stalled, man. They've been stalled in the middle of the freeway, just sitting there with no end in sight. It's so sad to watch.
Yeah, they're a bad team, man. I mean, and I know that you and I have been talking about how they should keep losing to get the number one pick, and I agree on that. But, it was obvious what Al Michaels said yesterday during the broadcast, but it did resonate with me. Like, yeah, who's to say that any of these guys are going to be here next year, or any of these coaches? And they're playing for pride right now, and a win at Kansas City would be huge, especially where, they're 10-1, and you won there last year. You do it again. That would have been huge. That would have been good for morale. But they're awful. And this was probably the best they played since the Kansas City loss earlier this year, where they lost in Vegas 27-20. Yeah, man, Antonio Pierce, when you are not a defensive play caller, like, he's not the guy that runs the defense. That's Patrick Graham. So if that's not your expertise, then you need to be good at everything else.
Right.
And I don't understand his fourth down decisions. It's just off of feel and gut. There's really no rhyme or reason. There's no analytics to it. So yeah, I don't know what he does.
It's not even to mention the personnel either. The personnel that he's working with. I know Aiden O'Connell was dealing with an injury, but the fact that you started with Gardner Minshew says a lot about your decision making with quarterback. I know everyone has an input on it, but at the end of the day, you're the head coach. You make the decision. Aiden O'Connell was clearly the better choice there. I don't know what's going on with the running back situation. I know you want to stick with Zamir White and Amir Abdullah and Alexander Madison, but Sincere McCormick has already looked better than any of those other guys. He looks more like
that name.
Yeah, I know, right?
Sincere McCormick.
He's giving me big, like, Jalen Richard vibes, where it's like an undrafted free agent and he could just come in and give you a little burst. I'm not saying he's a starting running back, but could be a nice backup.
The pocket rocket.
Look, dude, I loved when John Gruden was the head coach and he was using Josh Jacobs for the first couple of series, and then in the third one he'd bring in Jalen Richard because he could be a number one back for a possession. Like, I think Sincere McCormick can be that guy, but we haven't seen him much this season. And I know it's week 12 or whatever, or week 13, but damn, dude, like, he looked pretty good. And not to mention Jackson Powers Johnson, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that was his fault. My homeboy Keanu, he messaged me on Twitter after I said JPJ is going to be good for a while, and he said that look, man, Dylan Parham was the one who tapped him on the butt. Like, he was the one letting him know that the snap was ready. He just snapped it because he was told to. It's not like it was his decision to snap it.
Right.
I like how everyone took accountability, but that does not take away from what he's able to do at center. And that was his natural position. Andre James had been their worst offensive lineman this year, even though they gave him an extension. It seemed like they were playing their players based on their contractual status as opposed to their talent. They're paying you're paying Gardner Minshew that money. That's why you're starting him. There's no other reason that I can think of. Like Aiden O'Connell has clearly looked better. Then there's also the injuries too. But you're paying him. You paid Andre James that money. You're going to start that guy, and you're going to just figure it out with your rookie. But Jackson Powers-Johnson, clearly a better center than he even was at guard. Just personnel decisions, fourth down, clock management, practices, like all of that. Just the lack of organization at practice, all of that. Like what does Antonio Pierce do well? I don't even know if he motivates the players anymore.
Well, it got bad to the point where they had to have a team meeting earlier this year that you and I were
Right.
talking about. So, yeah, man. And they just, I mean, as good of a fight they can put up, they can easily just lose a game and piss down their leg. Like Jackson Powers-Johnson, you had a great tweet, Steven. He is going to be a great player in this league. It was just a bad moment. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
But that's like the ultimate Raider way to lose. You're in field goal range and boom, you had a bad snap and you fumbled the game away. So,
yeah,
Chiefs know how to win. Raiders don't. And yeah, they just keep going on with Aiden O'Connell. Try to do your damnedest. Try to put tape out there, but you should lose because there's no way this team is going to improve if they don't have a significant pick. And I'm talking about the number one pick. I see everybody else in the league, the Giants, they need a quarterback bad. But they got pieces. We'll talk about them a little bit. But they got pass rushers and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. They got pieces, Malik Neighbors. The Raiders have little pieces. Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers-Johnson, guys on defense, obviously Max Crosby. But they need an entire overhaul. Yeah. And not to say that, I think Scott Turner has improved the offense, but I don't feel comfortable with him being the guy next year. And I love Patrick Graham and how he's been, he changed this defense from where it was in 2022 to where it is now. But I think it's got to change everything. I do. I think Mark Davis wants them to lose. I think that it's time for them to finally address the quarterback position, get a real head coach in there. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or mean, but like Antonio Pierce is a good motivator, a good assistant coach. I don't know if he's a good head coach. So I think they just need to change a lot of things. Obviously.
Yeah. The only thing I don't think they need to change is Tom Telesco.
No, he's fine. I mean, he honestly, this was a evaluation season for him of, they went with Gardner Minshew because they wanted the veteran presence and they wanted to win games initially.
Yeah.
But I'm sure after they didn't get a quarterback in the first round, they were like, all right, let's see what talent we have here.
Well,
check boxes off who stays.
I'm more reacting to these general managers who are on the hot seat article that I read, and Tom Telesco was one of them. I'm like,
no, definitely not.
What? No, like as far as I'm concerned, he hit on the top 3 draft picks. Like Brock Bowers could be offensive rookie of the year if his team was any good. Jackson Powers-Johnson is Jackson Powers-Johnson. And I think DJ Glaze has gotten better as the season's gone on. I'm kind of glazing him right now.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to glaze DJ, but he's a solid right tackle. I don't really know what's up with these other. I don't know what's up. And you saw that one dude, the little white running back, Dylan Labe or whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah.
He can get a little bit of time in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's a good little return guy.
So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's hit on those picks. I just think that, like, that's the only guy who can stay. And, it's sure, it was an evaluation season for him. But this next one's a big one because you're going to have a top 5 pick. The Sanders thing, do you go after? It feels like it's interesting. I was reading this little profile on Sanders and just what he does. Like when he's good, he's really good, but in the bad moments, like he is one of like his incompletions are really bad incompletions. It's not like they're near the receiver. I forgot. I need to pull it up. There was this weird. It's like this total. Should I say mix of elite and garbage is like where he's at with his career. So I'm just
there's plenty of time to go through that stuff. But I always think about week 1 when he played North Dakota State, where he could have run the ball and instead he wanted to get his guy a catch, and that led to horrible clock management. That's the stuff that I just want to see better from him, of just being a good team guy. Now, he sounds like he's a good teammate, but I don't care for the social media stuff where he calls former players out. But yeah, yesterday against, I think it was Oklahoma State, he throws 5 touchdown passes, 3 of which go to Travis Hunter. He's the Raiders' choice right now. They like him because of what he brings, the flair, the name value, Sanders, his dad maybe. But yeah, they need to know that they're getting a top-of-the-line, I'm sure he's a good human being, but like a top-of-the-line like character guy, as far as like a guy that's going to be all in and good with his teammates and not so focused on social media. There's plenty of time for that stuff. But as far as Tom Telesco, it's not like Antonio Pierce and him were tied at the hip. They brought in Telesco after the fact.
Right.
So that kind of signaled a little bit to me like they're not a partnership. One could go, one could stay. It's not like Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. So yeah, I think that I think Tom Telesco's here to stay. Antonio Pierce, I would be very surprised if he comes back at this point from everything that's gone on. And people could say, oh, he was given a bad hand with the roster. Yeah, no doubt. I'm not going to deny that. But it's also what you do as a head coach when you have a bad roster. If you, like, everything we're talking about, clock management, all this crap, he just got to be better.
Yep. And it's, I mean, if the thing with Eberflus was a fireable offense, then, I mean, what was the thing with what was it with the Chiefs then?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's just answer that real quick. Which one do you think was worse?
Oh, God, man. I mean, flip a coin. I really tried to answer this before we came on the podcast, and I watched both endings just a little bit before we got started, and I still don't know, because you look at the Bears, they did not drive down the field as efficiently as the Raiders did. They were in a 4th and 14, and they got lucky because there was a defensive pass interference. That's why they were in a position that they were in. But on the same side of that coin, you could say, well, they were given a first down at the opposite 30-yard line, or between the 30 and 35. I forgot which exact one. So they had a lot more room to work with. But then the Raiders, well, they were just driving downfield. They had a timeout and they had a plan, and yet they still botched it after a timeout when they had literal time to figure out a play. Which one was worse? Good God, man. I don't know. I really don't know. I'd like to think I would think that the Bears one is worse, because there's no expectations with the Raiders. There's none at all. And with the Bears, you have some guy who's supposed to be the generational quarterback. And as a head coach, you had people blaming him in part for not calling a timeout when he should have, and not getting a play set up. So on that side of the coin, that's where it's worse. But the Raiders had every chance to win the game, and they just didn't. So I don't know, dude.
I believe the Raiders ending was bad. But when you think about it, it wasn't a guarantee that Daniel Carlson was going to make the field goal.
Right.
And in the end, you had a bad snap that lost you the game.
Yeah.
With the Bears, you didn't even get that opportunity.
Yeah.
You were in field goal range. You were set up to at least tie the game. And 30 seconds went off the clock. And you had a timeout. The Raiders did not have a timeout.
Right.
So I was watching this on the couch with my little brother screaming, what the hell are they doing? Call timeout. Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing? And as clock was, I was like, they're not going to get another play. So Caleb Williams just throws the ball up in the air and it's done. That is the most egregious thing. Like, we do a segment on Tolbert and Copes back in the day called Stepped in It. That is the all-time stepped in it I've ever seen. Yeah. You had a chance to tie the game. And Eberflus's explanation is awful. Thought we did it the right way. So I just want to get into the game real quick. Lions win 23-20. As good as the Lions were in the first half, they just didn't do anything in the second half. They scored that one touchdown to Sam Laporta, but really they coughed up a golden opportunity right before half when Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled that ball on the goal line. And the Bears weren't doing anything offensively. I saw all the tweets. It was accurate. Shabuzi was on the field more than Caleb Williams was. By the way, Shabuzi, I hate a lot of new music. Not bad. I kind of like the country style to Jaquan's Tipsy. Not a bad song.
Have you heard that song?
I want to say I heard it before, but this is the first time I've heard it like start to finish. I was like, this is a pretty good, country hip hop. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I've heard it a billion times. It's no.
Not your thing.
No.
I never get you with music.
What?
I figured you would love that.
No, it's too generic.
Okay, fair enough.
It's too generic, like all country music is nowadays.
No, but it's a good take on a classic. Like, I remember Jaquan, 1, here comes the 2 to the 3 to the foe. But
Yeah.
like, a little you got your country violins in the background. I thought it's a good arrangement.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I've heard it too much.
Fair. Well, yeah, that'll happen too.
Over it.
And then the second half, Caleb Williams, he's looked better in the last few weeks since Thomas Brown has been his OC, going down the field more. I like the route running from Keenan Allen, the touchdown throw to DJ Moore. The Lions are also getting beat up on defense. Like, so many injuries right now. They lost Malcolm Rodriguez for the year. Alex Anzalone, I think, is out with a broken foot or something, so he's gone, and he'll be probably back for the playoffs. But they're starting to leak a little bit of oil defensively. But yeah, as far as the outcome of the ending, there's no explanation for that. Like, Eberflus to say like, oh, that's the way we wanted it to be. Are you out of your mind? Like, you have a timeout. The whole point is to win the game. In order to win the game, you need to tie the game.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand any of that. People can blame Caleb Williams for not understanding the situation or being when you're a quarterback, you got to call timeout. He's definitely to blame as well.
He's stubborn, man.
No, he's stubborn.
He's extremely stubborn. Like, that's the only explanation I can think of for that little post-game rant that he went on.
Where he didn't want to give blame. Well, what exactly? What rant?
Where he just called it the right call, and then the next morning, before he even took questions, he had a
Eberflus, you're saying?
Yeah, Eberflus. He had like a 3-minute diatribe on how we watched it, looked over it, had a good day of watching film, good day of analysis, good day of this, good day of that, and didn't seem to have any bit of remorse.
Yeah. He didn't take accountability, but as far as Caleb Williams, he needs to take accountability as well, and he did. Everyone, it was mixed emotions of the locker room reactions, because you had guys like DJ Moore who were like, I don't know why we didn't call a timeout, and Caleb Williams like, yeah, like, kind of dancing around it, being like, we're all to blame there, and I appreciate that. But yeah, as a quarterback, you should have situational awareness, and you should call timeout. Now, the last line of defense is your head coach. And at the end of the day, this is on Eberflus. And everybody thought that he was going to get fired. As soon as I saw that, I was like, he's done. Like, you can't come back from that.
Yeah.
But then the next day, I see my notifications, and I see that he's in a Zoom press conference saying, I have all the confidence in the world that I'm going to be coaching the Bears against the 49ers.
Like I said, I'm just going to be working on finishing up this game, doing a good job of evaluating that, our after action report like we always do, and then I'll be working into San Francisco. Again, those are conversations we'll have, and again, I'm confident that I'll be working on to San Francisco and getting ready for that game.
Oof.
He should have been fired, no doubt about it, but he should have been fired earlier. That is embarrassing. No man should do a press conference the day of and say, I intend to be here next Sunday, and then get fired only 2 hours later. That is absolutely embarrassing by the Bears. They should have had whatever meeting they were having, the meeting of the minds of Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren, McCaskey, all the people involved with the Bears. They should have got up the butt crack of dawn to meet together and prevented that man from going out there. That is inexcusable. Like, as much as it is inexcusable for what Eberflus did, you cannot let that poor bastard go out there and tell everybody my job is still intact to only lose it 2 hours later. That is awful.
I wonder who didn't want to fire him at first, because he said during that press conference, I watched almost the whole thing, like, they had conversations. They had their usual post-game call, like that's what they do after every game. And then the next morning they were going to meet again. And I think that press conference happened. I don't know if someone just decided, oh shit, he's got his weekly press conference. We forgot about this. Oh man, we were going to fire him at this time. Oh no, shit. So this just shows you though how unorganized and how dysfunctional the Bears are.
Yeah.
Like just little things like that. It's not a huge deal. Really, it's not. Like at the end of the day, like no one focuses on the press conference before, unless we're all paying attention to Twitter and social media and whatnot. All we care about is the firing. So for that, it's a tiny thing. But when you take a peek in that tiny little crack, you'll see that there's just nothing but shit on the end of it. Bear shit. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the details were from Pelissero or whoever reported this, that they all were going to meet the morning of, and their meeting went longer than anticipated, and it bled into Eberflus having his teleconference. And you can't do that. Like, yes, in the end of the day, they had to fire him. And it sounded like Ryan Poles wanted to fire him after the Patriot game where they lost 19-3 and allowed like 8 sacks. And that's the game that Shane Waldron ultimately lost his job. I'm sure, like, if they didn't end up firing him, I was going to tell you, like, all right, well, who should be their interim head coach right now? Because I don't see anybody that has experience to take on this job. And in the end, they went with Thomas Brown, who's the interim OC. Like, Jesus, this guy is up Schitt's Creek, like, for the remaining 5 games. Not only does he have to learn how to be an offensive coordinator with this team, he has to learn how to be a head coach. So he's in a no-win situation, in my opinion. They needed to do this, but I thought it was handled extremely poor. So, yeah, no, the organization made a total ass of themselves. You could have fired him. I mean, you don't want to fire him Thanksgiving Day. That's cruel. But, yeah, you fire him first thing in the morning and not let him go out there and make a spectacle of himself.
Let us all eat a little shit, though, with how we evaluated.
Where's Tacky when we need him?
Because we all caved. We all drank the Kool-Aid. Wow. He's got a new haircut, confidence, press conference. We were all fooled by
me.
We all were, yes.
Oh, dude, come on.
Yes. We said, this could be a new guy. He's got a number 1 overall pick. This could be a new Eberflus. I
like the way that he was trying to look all confident with the new haircut and beard and the awkward Hard Knocks clips of him getting, his hair done in the barbershop at the Bears facility.
Let's just give a round of applause to this article, to us, to how we evaluated Eberflus, because he had a haircut and a beard. We thought he was going to be a better head coach. Round of applause to everyone.
Did you honestly think that?
Not honestly.
Yeah. I thought that maybe they would go 0-4 and they fire him at the start of the season. I like the way that he was in meetings with Caleb Williams. Everybody was focused on, oh my God, he's got a purse in those meetings. Forget all that. I like that as the head coach, not a offensive coach, but just as a head coach, he came in every day and said, okay, what's going on with the offense? Tell me about this. Tell me about that. I like that stuff. And I thought, okay, this guy really cares about Caleb. At the end of the day, this team never improved. He's not a great leader of men. He's not a great motivator. He's probably going to get another defensive coordinator position in this league. But just as far as head coaching, yeah, I never thought this was going to be a good match. Because now when we think of things, you think of a quarterback needs to be with an offensive-minded coach. And everyone's going to say, well, Ben Johnson should be this guy. I don't know if Ben Johnson looks at the organization of the Bears and says, I want to coach for that team. They obviously have a lot of issues. So who's to say that's going to be a match made in heaven there? But yeah, it's obvious that Caleb Williams needs a offensive head coach to lead him in the right direction. I never thought that the pairing of Eberflus and him was going to be great. They banked on Shane Waldron being that guy, and Eberflus handpicked him. They should have gone with Cliff Kingsbury probably just because of his familiarity with Caleb at USC. It was just a disaster. I'm not saying they made the wrong decision drafting Caleb Williams. At the end of the day, you would take Caleb Williams still over Justin Fields. I don't care about the start that Justin Fields had at the beginning of the year, where whatever they were, I forget what they started with, but he wasn't lighting it up passing wise. Caleb Williams is the guy as much as Trevor Lawrence is the guy. They just need the right coaching.
You think Ben Johnson's looking across the way thinking, I could fix that? Do you think he was looking at that
Well,
like my man from Holes?
Yeah, that's what I say. He's the guy from Holes. I love that guy
that.
too, by the way.
I could fix that.
My favorite line also is does she actually say at one point, like, me and my friend always made fun of this, like the guy getting with the girl. And I don't know if he actually ever say this in the movie, but it's pretty close. I want to say at one point where she's like, Sam, I never made love before. I could fix that.
She never said that.
But there's like a part where it's close to that, where she kind of implies it.
No, she doesn't.
She says something to him and he goes, I could fix that. And they make out.
It was like a leaky roof, dude.
Yeah, leaky roof. Double entendre.
Wait, you think that's an innuendo? Like, what do you mean?
As much as you can have an entendre for a Disney movie, yes.
Okay.
But back to the main point here.
I could fix that.
I could fix that. Yeah, maybe. But maybe he looks at the way that the McCaskey run the organization. He's like, I want no part of that.
Right.
Like, I would honestly think Ben Johnson might be more inclined to be the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach because Sean Conn be like, everything's yours, man. It's your call.
Yep. I wonder who would be willing to take over. Like, would anyone be willing to take over? Like, Mike Vrabel could even be a fit for that job.
I think a lot of people would. It's just a matter of, are they going to – how much of it is going to be where I have to hold the hand of Caleb Williams? Can I really coach this team?
Yeah.
There you go. Another head coach vacancy in the league. We got 3 right now: Jets, Saints, and Bears. And I'm assuming that none of the interim guys will retain their positions, probably. Other games, Giants, Cowboys. That was a fun background game. I had that on the background while we were eating Thanksgiving meal and the turkey and everything. Cool play by DeMario Overshone, but am I saying his name right?
Yep.
Yeah. DeMarion Overshone. The Giants, like I said earlier, they got pieces. But as far as like a team, they need a quarterback. They need some other things, offensive line help. They got a good defense. Dexter Lawrence, God, that's terrible. He might have been, as bad as the Giants were, he might have been in contention for Defensive Player of the Year, just the amount of sacks he has as a nose tackle. But he left with his arm in a sling. I think it was a dislocated shoulder, so he's going to be out for a good deal of time. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, John Mara said he's bringing back Joe Shane and Brian Dable, and then Adam Schefter, the sex fiend, went on Pat McAfee and said, I wouldn't count on that. He said that stuff before. I wouldn't be surprised if they just clean house after this. And the Cowboys, I know Micah Parsons was like, we're going to make a run now. Nah. Just, they go into Washington. That's a good win. They beat up on a bad Giants team. This division is still the Eagles.
I love how Drew Lock is complaining about not getting a starting job. Oh, I should have been the guy over Tommy DeVito. Like, I'm kind of pissed about that. What do you mean? Then he gets his chance and he's got like 30 yards passing by halftime.
Yeah, it was about the same as the Tommy DeVito start.
like, geez, man, talk about the pot calling the kettle. Hey.
And then the Packers beat the Dolphins. There's not a lot to say about this game. Dolphins can't win in the cold. Packers have a good running game, and they can play defense. But when it's time to throw the football, I don't know if they can at home. They may not win the division. Most likely at this point, it's going to be the Lions. Maybe the Vikings, but most likely the Lions that win the NFC North. I think the Packers are set up to be a better road team than they are a home team. And we saw that last year where they went into Dallas and Jordan Love lit it up passing-wise. They're really good at home playing defense and running the football with Josh Jacobs. But for whatever reason, I think it's kind of like the Buffalo Bills a couple of the last seasons with Josh Allen when they were so pass-heavy. The Packers are not pass-heavy, but I see no confidence in Jordan Love throwing the football when he's home as opposed to when he's home. I think it's just the elements. I don't think he's comfortable throwing in the cold yet. I think the Packers could do more damage as a road team than a home team at this point because of their lack of passing at home.
Yeah, I didn't watch too much of this game. This is where we were kind of starting to eat dinner and playing games or whatever, doing all the family stuff. So I can't really comment on that, but it feels like the past 2 weeks, the Packers got bailed out by the fact that the 49ers had their B team out there and that the Dolphins just don't know how to play in sub 40-degree weather. I think it makes 11 straight losses in games under 40 degrees, which I don't know. I wonder if I know Mike McDaniel's going to keep his job, but how does the coach get these guys up for those types of games? Like, what if you're in the playoffs and you got to take on the Bills in Buffalo? Like, what if you're, I don't know, say the Jets just all of a sudden become good again? Like, what if you have to take on the Jets in a late regular season game in New York? And I just like that's a huge issue, man. Like, you can't just rely on these warm weather games. And it's not every season is going to be as lucky as the Lions is, where you're playing inside a dome for pretty much all but 2 games if you are the 1 seed in the NFC. Like, I don't know, man. It's a weird situation with the Dolphins. I think that's kind of what I'm more focused on rather than the Packers. I know the Packers won, but Dolphins, if you can't win in the cold, then like, what's the point?
I think it goes back to if Mike McDaniel, like, he's an offensive mastermind, but can he really motivate his players? I always think about John Gruden talking about, like, in America's game, when he was like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to that point, before the 2002 NFC Championship game, they never won a game below 50 degrees. Yeah. So I showed them tape of the last time they did that, of all the times we got our ass kicked in the cold, and that really pissed them off. The truth is, that team was built to win in the cold too. Like, despite them being a warm weather team, they were built on the run, and they played good defense. The Dolphins aren't built to be a cold weather team. Yeah. They can run the football effectively, but they didn't do it at all in this game. Yeah. And Tua gets cold. They're like, I'm tired of, like, the week of where everybody's like, so what do you make of playing in a game that's, below 50 degrees? And Tua's like, I'm tired of the narratives. We just got to change that. Well, you're not.
Right.
Like, you got to like change it. It's not happening. So that's the one thing I wonder, where Mike McDaniel's not going to get fired this offseason. I would be very surprised if he did. But he's got to change the mentality of this football team. Yeah. They cannot. They have to be a team that can beat the good teams. Like, that's a bigger deal, is they're playing good teams in the cold, and they got to play in the cold as well.
Yeah. I'd like to look at I'd like to understand who their leaders are too. Like, Tua's probably supposed to be that guy for the offense. It feels like Tyreek Hill's trying to keep this leadership role, but I think his idea of leadership is, hey, I got y'all. I'm going to be the one that's going to get us out of this. Not any of you. We're not going to do this as a team. It's going to be on me.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it was right. I did watch the start of this game, and it was right at the start after I think the Packers scored a touchdown. I see Tyreek, like, just clapping on the sideline. I'm like, no one's listening to you, man. Like, no one's looking at you. You're just clapping. You're trying to motivate your team, but no one's listening. Yeah. I wonder who the leader is of that, because Jordan Brooks straight up said, like, dude, we were soft. Like, that's why we lost. We were soft. That's not good.
Yeah, I never thought of Tyreek Hill as kind of like a motivational leader. Never thought Jalen Ramsey is that type of guy either.
Right.
If anything, probably Calais Campbell is your leader on this team, but he's 38 years old.
Yeah.
So he could give you a good pep talk, but is he going to really have an effect on the football field?
Right.
Yeah, that's something they got to change for the future. But are you with me on my thing with the Packers, where it doesn't look like they're very comfortable throwing the football at Lambeau?
Not the past 2 games.
No.
Not the past 2 games. I can't give you a true evaluation because I haven't watched every game at Lambeau Field like I have these past 2. But yeah, I guess so. Also, I'd like to see Jordan Love when he's got like a full season without getting hurt. I just never believed that quarterbacks are fully healthy after going through an injury like he did at the start of the year. I just, like, with Purdy, for example, even if he comes back, like, a nagging shoulder injury, I don't think he's going to look the same for the remainder of the year. I want to see Jordan Love when he's just got like a clean bill of health. And maybe that's what last year was. And we saw him reach that potential that, gave him that prompted the Packers to give him a $55 million a year contract. But I don't think we saw it this year. And I don't know if it's going to be their year, but I think the Packers they got something with Jacobs and that offense. They really play hard for each other. It's two different things. It's two different ways that players are talking about their teams. Look at the way Jordan Brooks is talking about them, and look at the way Josh Jacobs is talking about them.
Yeah.
Good God, man. By the way, I don't know if any Raider fans out there see Jacobs, but every week he takes like a little shot at the Raiders. I don't know if anyone sees it in their post.
I haven't noticed it.
Yeah, in the post game, it was not even a subtle jab. The post game, he said, "Yeah, I feel better and better about my decision with each week that goes on." I'm like, damn, dude.
I mean, he's just being honest. Can you blame him?
Yeah, I can't. I know. Not at all. I don't know why any Raider fans were pissed at him. Like, they didn't pay him. They should have, and he wanted to go somewhere else.
That brings up what Devontae Adams said, I think, a week ago with Kay Adams. Did you see this? Where he was like, I know that things aren't that much better. Yes, thank you for the Kay Adams impression. I know that things aren't that much better with the Jets, but you look at that, like the potential of this situation as opposed to the potential with the Raiders. That's even more of a slide to the Raiders. So he's basically saying, like, Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell ain't shit. I'm trying to play with Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. Can you blame me for that? And it's not going well. It's terrible right now. But at least the potential of the Jets was better than the Raiders, which I can't deny, but it sounds stupid right now.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
AJ, you guys are the only Raider fans here.
Yeah, we are.
Well, maybe
not really.
Better tuned in live. There are Raider fans that actually listen.
Yeah, we got Depop Raider, which is me apparently. And we're always going to talk Raiders on this podcast. That's not changing. So yeah, there are your Thanksgiving Day games, and your Black Friday game. Should we pick games, Steven? Because you went bold with your picks, and I got a little head start on you. I'm 7 picks right. You got 3.
Jesus.
So you got a little catching up to do.
Well, you know what? I'm 4-0 right now. I'm good.
That's it. You're good with that. You'll have that over my head the entire season.
4-0 I'm 4-0 since post Italy. Like,
yes.
It's about time I lose. I almost feel bad for you.
Oh wow. Okay, well, yeah. Now I really want to kick your ass. All right, let's do this. And a little thing we call wins or wangs. Let's see if it gets the music. Ooh, going hard now. Okay, let's go. 7 me, Steven 3. Giants. All right, let's start with the New England Patriots. They host the Indianapolis Colts. 2.5-point favorites, over under 42.5.
Just a heads up, because I'm playing the music, your microphone sucks, so I'm really going to have to put this down.
Is it that bad?
Pretty bad.
I'm also not on my regular mic, so that's probably why.
Yeah. How about talk now?
Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Right, there we go. Okay, now we're back.
All right, Colts favored by 2.5 at the Patriots, over under 42.5.
Oh, God, I don't even know how to choose this game. Just lay the points with the Colts. Actually, you know what? No. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Patriots to win at home. I like the fact that they are home dogs. What's the over-under again?
42.5.
42.5. I'll take the under.
All right, Steven's taking the under. I'm going to take the Patriots to win as well, but I'm going to go over on that 42.5.
Oh.
I see Drake May and Anthony Richardson slinging it.
All right.
Then we go to the Meadowlands. Well, not the Meadowlands, but New Jersey, where the Seattle Seahawks take on the Jets coming off a bye. And this game is straight up a pick'em. And the over-under is the same as the Colts-Patriots game, 42.5.
It's interesting that it's a pick'em. I think a lot of money was coming in on the Jets because originally the Seahawks were favored by the 2.5. Look, I still think I think the Seahawks are rolling right now. I don't even know if bye weeks like totally favor teams at this point, like the Jets and the Seahawks. The Seahawks have built up momentum. I don't think a team coming off a bye is going to impact them. So Seahawks are rolling. I'll take the Seahawks to win, and I'll take the. God damn it! The Seahawks defense has actually gotten better. I was going to take the over. Yeah, take the over. Life's too short to bet the under. Give me the over.
I agree. I'm doing the exact same thing. I think that no matter what, no matter how I slice and dice it, the Jets are just a bad football team, and they cannot protect. And I think that the Seattle Seahawks are playing really good defense. And I think that former Jet, Leonard Williams, he caused a lot of havoc towards Kyler Murray last week. I think he'll do it again. So I just need to take the Jets for what they are. I said they're done. They think they're done. It is done. I'm taking the Seahawks. They still got something to play for, and I'm going to go over as well. Then we got the Tennessee Titans going to Washington to take on the Commanders. Commanders are 5.5-point favorites, over under 44.5.
I think I'm going to take the Titans to cover. I'll take the Commanders to win and give me the over.
I like that thought process. I'm taking the over as well. I think the Commanders need to get their head out of their asses because they have lost 3 in a row. You can understand losses to the Steelers and Eagles, last week to the Cowboys. That was tough. They were just right there, a missed PAT by Seibert. They need to win this game. They need to win it convincingly. I think the Titans, if the spread was wider, I would take the I would take the Titans to cover. But yeah, 5.5 touchdown game. I'm close. That's close enough for me. I'm gonna take the Commanders to win, lay the points, and go over.
Former President Joe Titan had a voice. Love that.
Thank you. Then we got the Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars coming off a bye. Trevor Lawrence coming back from the shoulder injury. Texans coming off a really bad loss to the Titans. And they're 3.5-point favorites, over under 44.5.
Lay the points with the Texans, and I'll take the under.
I really want to take the Jaguars in this game, but the Texans need this game badly.
Yeah, they do.
And if this was a bigger spread, same situation with the Titans and Commanders game, I would have taken a cover, but 3.5's too small. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. Give me the Texans to win, lay the points, give me the under.
I think a lot of people agreed with you too, because the spread was originally 5.5.
Yeah.
It went down to 3.5 because people were really taking the Jaguars.
And watch for the Jaguars to maybe go on a little run here. Not enough to make the playoffs by any means, but look at their schedule down the stretch. They can get some wins here where it doesn't look as bad of a season.
Also easy to forget that they got one of the better rookies in the league in Brian Thomas Jr., and him and Trevor Lawrence had a nice connection going before he got hurt.
I would say probably the only reliable wide receiver on the team right now.
For sure.
Gabe Davis is not panning out for them. Then we got the Chargers going to Hotlanta. The Falcons coming off the bye, and the Chargers 1-point favorites, basically a pick 'em. 47.5 is your over-under.
Yeah, give me the Chargers, and I will take the over.
I'm taking the Falcons. I'm taking the Falcons, and I got the over. Then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Cincinnati, coming off the bye as well, those Bengals. 3-point favorites for the Bengals, over-under 47.5.
I will take believe it or not, I'll take the Steelers to win this one, and I'll take the under.
Alrighty, I'm taking the under as well, and I still see the Cincinnati Bengals, despite their record, what are they, 4-7?
Yes.
I think the Bengals will end up making the playoffs. I'm not buying the Denver Broncos. I think they can kind of fall towards the end of the stretch here. I got the Bengals winning this game. I got the Bengals making the playoffs, and if they're going to do that, then they need to start winning right now. So I'm taking the Bengals to win, lay the points, go with the under.
Here you go.
Then we got the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Minnesota, where the Minnesota Vikings are 3.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 44.5.
I am going to... This is a tough one.
Yes, that's I got birds in the backyard with me. Or me too.
This is a tough one, man, because I want to take the Cardinals to at least cover, but
Well, maybe the birds chirping is all the sign you need.
yeah. Nah, you know what?
Or maybe not.
Lay the 3.5 with the Vikings, and I'll take the under.
I like the Vikings as well. I'm laying the points, but I'm going to go over on that 44.5. I probably would have taken the Cardinals to cover, but that 3.5-point spread is too small once again. Then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Carolina. Carolina. What is that? The Eric Andre commercial now? Buccaneers are 6-point favorites. Over under 46.5.
I'll take the Panthers to cover. I'll still take the Bucks to win. But I think the Panthers got something going on offense with Bryce Young, believe it or not. And I'll just go take a chance and take the over.
I'm going to take the over as well. I like where your head's at, Steven, but I'm going to do it one further. I got the Panthers winning this game.
Jesus.
This is me just not believing in the Buccaneers, and that bit me in the ass last week with the Giants. But I like Dave Canales. I like him, what he's doing right now with Bryce Young. They almost beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
He knows the Buccaneers from a year ago. I'm taking the Panthers to win.
Buccaneers are going to run all over them. You know that, right?
Well, then why'd you take them to cover, the Carolina Panthers?
I'll take the Panthers to cover because they can make it close with the offense, but the Buccaneers are going to win.
I don't know, man.
Ugh.
We'll see. Dave Canales knows this team. And now as I say this, I'll look back on this and be like, why the hell did I take the Panthers to lose this or win this game?
There's been a couple of those moments.
Yes, there has been this year. It's been
Shout out to the Browns. Shout out to the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know why I believe in those teams more than I should. The Rams take on the New Orleans Saints. Saints coming off the bye. Rams are 2.5-point favorites. Over under 49.5.
Woo, this is a doozy. I could see the Saints winning at home. I know I said the Rams are the better team in the NFC West, and I have more faith in them in the playoffs if they get there. But I see the Saints kind of ruining their hopes and dreams in New Orleans. So give me the Saints, and I'll take the over.
I'm doing the exact same thing. I think the Saints coming off the bye. I like the Saints defense as of late. Rams are playing well, but I just can't see them winning this game for whatever reason. Then we got a doozy of a game. This one's really good. Philadelphia going to Baltimore, where the Ravens are 3-point favorites, and the over-under is a whopping 51.5.
God damn, man. Strength against strength. Rushing team against another good rushing team.
Yep.
I mean, these two teams are practically the same, but it always seems like the Ravens come out on top in these situations. So I'm going to lay the points with the Ravens and give me the over.
I like the Ravens as well. It's just merely because they're home. And I'm going to go under. Oh, sorry. You're going over. I'm going under.
There you go.
51's a little bit too much for me. All right. Let's talk about this game a little bit. The Sunday night game. 49ers going to Buffalo. Bills are 6-point favorites. Over under 44.5. It sounds like Brock Purdy's going to play. It sounds like – who else is coming back? Who else was out that's coming back this week that they were talking about? Bosa is out. Trent Williams is out. Oh, Travarius Ward is back for this game.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. It's going to snow. It's going to snow like hell. Like when people thought that it was going to snow in Green Bay last week, did not happen. There is a lake effect warning. And, yeah, this is not Tom Pelissero, but who is this? Not Mitchell Schwartz.
Michael Schwartz.
Michael Schwartz. Yeah, this is the
Buffalo guy.
Buffalonian. This is the Jim Carrey, Bruce Almighty guy.
Hours.
Yeah, it's snowing out there.
Yep.
It's snowing big time. It's bad.
And I saw Florio suggest that they may postpone the game. They would have to do that by today, I would think. So if there's no mention of that by the end of today, then this game is being played, and it may be postponed a little bit as far as time, but I don't see this game being postponed to Monday. So given everything, no Bosa, no Trent Williams, the Niners, they can play in the elements, but I don't know if they can play in snow. You got to take the Bills. Lay the points with the Bills. I'll take the under.
Yeah, lay the points with the Bills, and I'll take the under too.
Yep. And then Monday night, you got the Cleveland Browns going to Denver, and the Broncos are 5.5-point favorites. Over under 41.5.
I hate doing this, but I'll lay the points with the Broncos and give me the under.
I am going to take the Broncos to win, but I'll take the Browns to cover, and I'll go under as well.
Nice.
And that will be a very low-scoring, lackluster Monday night game.
Oh,
yeah. So there you go. Those are our picks for Week 13. Before we do pop culture catch-up, big news this morning, Steven. Big news. And
What?
I'll do it in the best way I can by reading from the man himself. Dearest mother, the battleground has called for my glorious return, I'm thrilled to say. I shall heed that call. I have re-enlisted. While my sidearm is firmly holstered, I shall help train other young men to be great soldiers. Please send care packages of squirrel oil and skunk cakes to our base camp at Stanford. I love you, Captain Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's coming back to be general manager of Stanford. Wow. I'm kind of excited because maybe I get to interview him. KNBR, home of the Stanford Cardinal. Yeah, I wanted him in football for the longest time. I thought he may be a good analyst, but he wanted to stay away from the game, and now he's going to be back in the Bay Area. And he did an interview with Pat McAfee. I didn't even see this. All right.
Handling all these things, how do you see this being executed at Stanford?
Yeah, well, I can't wait to work with Coach Taylor and the staff and the guys on the team. He's got the team pointed in the right direction, and we've been close with this coach for a couple of years. I have to be on the hiring committee for him. And as everybody knows in this game, it takes a team to go out and win. It is hard to win football games, and I think we're putting the right team together.
Yeah. First order of business, I'm going to hire Jack Doyle as my head coach.
Doyle rules.
I've been working with Troy Taylor a lot. Got to get a guy like Jack Doyle on the team. Love Jack Doyle.
Yeah, I can never do a good Andrew Luck impression.
What does this mean for the Andrew Luck Book Club? That's my question.
Book club?
Yeah, the Andrew Luck Book Club.
We're going to start off with a dog named Zippy.
I missed this.
He created an Andrew Luck Book Club a little while back.
Didn't see it. Didn't see it.
It's amazing. It was great stuff.
Yeah, man, this is going to be fun. I like him coming back to the Bay Area. There was always talk about him being really involved with Stanford football. I wonder if we'll ever get to the point where I don't even know who the head coach of Stanford is right now. But if
Troy Taylor, I work real close with him. I like Troy. He's a good guy.
If it comes to the point where he's not cutting it, I wonder if he would ever want to step into being a head coach. But maybe not. Maybe this is the perfect role for him, just being a general manager. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, he's the AD?
Dude, it's like a new role. This ESPN article actually. Oh shit! This ESPN article.
Right?
Really, yeah. Sorry, I thought I trashed everything. This laid it all out. Hang on, that's the wrong button. I'm trying to share it here. Sorry, awkward stuff.
Nah, it's all good.
A newly created role, which will place him above the entire program and is a distinct evolution from the traditional college general manager role. The hire could loom as a harbinger for structural changes in college football front offices across the sport.
Love a good mention of harbinger.
Yeah, love a harbinger. There's always a harbinger of death. I always like that one. This is a harbinger of death.
So a change of death?
Luck's role involves everything Stanford football touches, football-wise and business-wise. The football-specific duties will include managing the coaching staff, the player personnel staff, recruiting, roster management, and the student-athlete experience, while his business duties will include some aspects often associated with an NFL team president role, fundraising, sponsorships, attendance, sales, in-stadium experience, and alumni relations.
So you know what this means? They miss David Shaw because he was, David Shaw's a fun dude, but he was the face of Stanford football. Troy Taylor, I forgot he was even the head coach of the team, and the team's not very good right now.
Yep.
So they need a face like that Jim Harbaugh was when Andrew Luck was playing. They need a face of the organization once again, or program. And Andrew Luck is the face of the program.
And he told ESPN, Andrew Luck, I'm really excited. I think Stanford is taking an assertive and innovative step. We are undoubtedly the best athletic department in college sports. We have to reprove it in football, and we're excited to be a part of that challenge.
I'd say you got more material right now with your Andrew Luck than you do your Gruden.
I have way more than I do. Yeah. Well, Stanford's, it is crazy, man, because working at KCBS, to be honest, when I was working at the game, I wasn't paying attention to much in Stanford sports, but dude, they do have the best athletic department in the country. They are on top in women's basketball. I think both soccer teams are in the quarterfinal, or they just played the quarterfinal yesterday for the NCAA tournament.
Rowing, golf. They're phenoms in golf, both the men's and women's teams.
Wow, they're never going, huh?
Dude, it's crazy. Like everything, track and field. There's a ton of Stanford representation over at the Olympics this past year. Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Well, awesome. I can't wait for Andrew Luck to come, be the face of Stanford, be back in the Bay Area, which he was for a little while. I think he was living here, and maybe he was living in Indiana.
No, he was still here. He was coaching at Palo Alto High School.
That's right. That's right.
Coaching, like right down.
And I can't wait for my dad every week to be like, I need to talk to Andrew.
Yeah.
That's my guy. I wanted him to be at one point. I mean, before he was even my dad's infatuation with Andrew Luck was at one point disturbing, you would say.
Yeah.
He was in love with the man.
Yeah.
This was like when he was, still doing play-by-play for the Raiders. My dad was obsessed with Andrew Luck. Just how, and I get it, because in college, he was the most cerebral quarterback I've ever seen at the college level.
Yeah.
He didn't need a offensive play caller. He didn't need Jim Harbaugh to call the plays for him. It was all on a sheet for him. He was running an NFL-style offense. He had the wristband. And I hated that his NFL career was cut short.
Yeah.
If he was given more of an offensive line, and what was that GM? Was it Ryan Pace?
It's Chris Ballard, wasn't it?
No, it was before Chris Ballard. I want to say his name was Ryan Pace. It was, the GM who was like, we just need wide receivers. We need Philip Dorsett. We need offensive playmakers for Andrew Luck, when he really needed a offensive line. He needed more than, who's my guy with the Raiders? Samson Satelli or whatever his name was. There was he just had a terrible offensive line, and then he got cooked. And there was that season where he didn't play at all. He thought, when is Andrew Luck coming back? He just went away. And then I'll never forget the season before the 2019 season, where he came back in 2018, had a MVP caliber season, took the Colts to the playoffs, lost to the Chiefs. That training camp, there was rumors about him not feeling well. And the rumor was, if he doesn't feel good at all, he's just going to bolt. He's going to retire. And I remember, I think I told the story before, but Scott Hansen in the meeting room at NFL Network, when he was still the NFL Total Access host, being like, I got to say, the Colts, they're lying to us. We got to know what the hell's going on here with this Andrew Luck guy. Is he going to play or not? There's like some conspiracy theories going on here. It was just comical, the way that his voice got everything. But and then he retired just like that before a preseason game. The fans booed him. That was awful. Yeah, I want more Andrew Luck in football.
I think the Stanford football team needs some form of a revival, because going to those games, to be quite honest with you, it's sad right now.
Yeah.
Like, I remember going to one. I'm not going to act like I was a Stanford football fan, but I went to a couple of games, and you felt like you were in a professional atmosphere. At the time, they were playing Oregon State. Andrew Luck was opposite for Stanford, but they were playing Oregon State, featuring the likes of Ethan Katz as the starting quarterback and Jaquiz Rogers as the running back. You remember that guy?
I remember Jaquiz Rogers, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kept on trying to make like quiz puns. What's up? Just scan sheet? I don't know. Just stupid shit like that.
Just stick to the Luck impression, man.
Yeah. Well, listen, I was a teenager at that time, Derek. I was very young, very young, just trying to find my way in comedy. Not the right place to do it.
Still finding your way, huh?
Yeah. But if only if only Stanford could get back to that, because football, the reason that all these teams are going to different conferences and where all the money goes, it's football, right? Stanford did not deserve to leave the Pac-12. Neither did Cal, but they had to, because the Pac-12 wasn't doing anything to help. And the only reason they left is because of football. Well, their football team's not very good. And this is forcing all their other teams to travel and do all these different things, which as to why people were against the moving of the conferences in the first place. Like, all these other teams are victims too. And it sucks. So good God, just for their athletic programs in general, just needs football to be good, just so it seems like this move actually pays off.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, because Stanford has fallen on hard times, bringing him in is a PR move, the same way it is with Buster Posey coming to the Giants.
Sure.
But there's less for Andrew Luck to do and expectations as opposed to Buster Posey. So I kind of expect less of Andrew Luck just being like, this is what the football team needs to look like. These are the players we need. Buster Posey's going to have way more pressure on him than Andrew Luck, obviously.
Yeah, but I also think that these two have a love for their respective. Well, I guess you'd call Posey's an organization, and you'd call Stanford more of an institution.
Yeah.
But they both, I think, have
Alumni.
the same passion for it. So it's not like even if it is just a PR move for both of them, there's no denying that they love their respective teams. Like that's kind of where, for example, Derek, I think if the Raiders draft Shador, I think it's something of a PR move just because it's a name. And
Oh, yeah.
you wanna get the fans on your side. But Shador doesn't have any love for the Raiders. I know he loves himself, and I know he loves football, but he doesn't love the Raiders. Like Luck and Posey. Luck loves Stanford. Posey loves the Giants. That's why I'm kind of on board with it. I think this is a terrific move for their football program.
Speaking of college football, I'm keeping up with Michigan, Ohio State right now, and it appears that Michigan has just taken the lead 13-10 with 45 seconds left. So if Ohio State wants to remain number 2 before this CFP, they need to get something done here with 45 seconds left. Okay. A little pop culture catch-up before we get out of here.
Well, I got one more thing because we haven't mentioned it. We haven't mentioned it because it's a touchy subject and people don't like talking about it. There's a reason why no sports talk shows are talking about this, even though it's one of the biggest stories I think that should be talked about. But what's going on with San Jose State women's volleyball has just been ridiculous over these past the entire season, really. But have you seen what's going on?
I think I know, but I'm not well versed in it. So by all means, sir.
Well, the women's volleyball team supposedly has a transgender player on their roster. And obviously dating back to the Olympics and really for the past couple of years, there's been a whole divisive conversation happening around whether transgender women should participate in women's sports. And I think today the Mountain West final is scheduled to be played, or at least this weekend. And I just wanted to salute Colorado State for not falling into this trap of, we're going to forfeit matches because they have a transgender player on their team and that gives them an unfair advantage. It's this weird thing, man, where all of a sudden this has become an issue that she is on their team. San Jose State last year was 4-14 or something in the regular season. They're not very good. She hasn't given them like some crazy advantage. There's just been one player who joined their team, transferred over, realized she's transgender, seemed to have an issue with it, and then filed a lawsuit, goes on like Outkick and Fox News and starts outing her by name, even though this player hasn't said a thing. Like and she has been playing volleyball girls volleyball since she was a kid, since she was a child, and she's come up and it's just ridiculous, dude. It's all ridiculous. So I want to just shout out Colorado State, even though I think they might have forfeited one of the regular season games, but they're still in it in the final. So I give them credit for actually playing and not adding to this stupid stigma that seems more about transphobia rather than actually caring about protecting women's sports. It's so weird, man. It's just bizarre. It pisses me off to talk about it. I don't know why I brought it up.
No, I'm glad you did, Stephen. It's always good to bring up more important things than what we talk about. So,
like I'm willing to hear this argument about how transgender women shouldn't have to participate in women's sport. But if you're with the NCAA policy, if you're following the policy set by the USA Volleyball, that's the governing body around everything that encompasses the sport. Like if you're following all the guidelines, you're following all the rules, then why do people have a problem with it? It's just so strange, man. I can't stand it.
Jesus. You hear those birds out here?
Jeez, what the hell's going on?
I know. It's about to turn like into a Hitchcock movie out here. Good Lord. No, Stephen, I appreciate you bringing that up, man.
Ugh.
And I'm not well versed in it, and clearly you are. So thank you for the details and everything.
Yeah.
And there's no easy transition for this.
No, there is not.
Beetlejuice 2.
Yes.
So Watching movies with my family the last few days. We rented Beetlejuice 2, and I didn't want to see it in theaters because I was like, I could catch this on Max when it comes out for digital release.
There you go.
And I enjoyed the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there were too many characters. I did not give a shit about the storyline with Beetlejuice's wife, nor the Willem Dafoe character of the former actor turned police detective. There was, there's some good stakes in the movie as far as Lydia's daughter and the new boyfriend. And I like the whole thing with the dad, Charles, being killed at the beginning of the movie. And if you look back on the real story of this guy, the actor, you understand why they killed him off in the movie. Pederast. That's the reason why. But yeah, it was fun. Michael Keaton as 70-year-old Beetlejuice, he still owned it, but it's not the same. I mean, when you take a movie that was, 35 years old and then bring it back, it's who's it really for? Is it for us? Is it for the younger demographic? I don't know. I love the ending. I thought the ending was pretty funny. But there was just a lot that wasn't needed. It seemed like a little over the top at times. But yeah, I thought Beetlejuice was fun. Just, it's not fair to me to compare it to the original movie. So for what it was a fun movie.
Yes. And I don't really remember much from it. I just remember thinking it's a little too late.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's a little too late.
They were talking about, I think the original premise was Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian was the original premise for the sequel. And then years down the line, it's got kicked to the curb. And now, you and I have talked about this, with sequels, they're bringing back a lot of unneeded stuff just because it's bankable. I went to go see this last night, and I'll wait till you see the movie. Gladiator 2. I'll save my review for it, but I was telling, my family last night, we were driving away. Fun movie, but did they need to do it? Can we make does there need to be a Gladiator 2? Can we make just a new original, old Rome epic? Does it have to be Gladiator 2? Now, maybe it does in order for people to go to the movie theater, but, when you really think about it, and I'll get more in depth once you see it, Stephen, but it just didn't need to be done.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
However, I did see an interview, or I love that Denzel's making the media rounds. And it feels like Denzel knows that people have an impression of him now. And it feels like he's really being Denzel during these interviews. There's one where I saw, I forgot what the interviewer specifically asked, but something along the lines of, what piece of advice would you give to the younger actors who want to break into the industry? And he looks, got that eye, and goes, be quiet. Shut your mouth. Don't talk. Don't say anything. Listen. Use your ears. Don't say anything. Listen to others. You want the biggest person in the room. You may think you are, but you're not. Other people know more than you. You know what I mean? He does he gives a short answer, very quick, right at the start. Be quiet. Don't say nothing. But then he goes on to give more details as to what he means with that short set. It is so good. It's so good. So I love that he's on a press tour again. That's what I'm saying.
And he also, I think also in that interview, he one point goes, and if you touch me, I tell you, get your fucking hands off me.
What is that, Josh? That's Josh Brolin. Did you hear that story?
No.
Yeah, Josh Brolin told a story from American Gangster where he almost got into a fight with Denzel because he literally touched him on the shoulder.
Oh,
and he was in Frank Lucas' character. Yeah.
Well, that's his go-to catchphrase in some of these movies. Besides my man, he does Jamie Foxx did a great in an interview where he's got the lip quiver. He's like, "You get your fucking hands off me."
Yeah.
I'll say Denzel in Gladiator 2. It is the most over the top he's been probably since Training Day. He's milking it it's good. Denzel, he's doing a great performance, but it's basically all right, okay, Okay, you're a gladiator, and I expect you to gladiate when I tell you to. Jake!
Training Day is where Denzel made himself into Denzel, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know he had a lot of movies before that, but felt like he was truly Denzel when he's just like reading, see this, Jake? See this newspaper? 98% bullshit.
But I read it because
But
I
I read-
enjoy it. It's entertaining.
God damn, I gotta watch this.
You haven't
I
been in the
gotta watch
gas
the
chamber?
damn-
The gas chamber.
I gotta watch that damn movie again.
Okay,
God damn.
I'll say this to you before you see the movie. Gladiator 2, it is more a prequel to Training Day than it is a sequel to Gladiator. I'll just say that.
Interesting way to put it.
There is moments in the second half of the movie where I'm like, this is Training Day. This is literally like the same thing. Like there's a moment in Training Day where he's talking to Jake and he's doing his whole thing where he's like, I've had detectives, cops, surveilling your scene for hours. I've been playing this shit all day. Give me the bitch. He takes the shotgun and cocks it. There's literally a scene where he's like talking to one of the people he's monologuing. He's like, I've planned this whole thing of Rome for a long time. Give me the bow. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
You disloyal fool ass bitch made punk. Caesar!
Dude, I'm telling you, there's a scene at the end of this movie that is kind of the same thing, where there's an army of Trojan. He's like, you know who the fuck I am? Like, it is the same thing.
I'll have you doing Greco-Roman wrestling in Pelican Bay when I'm through with you.
Yes,
It's so good.
exactly. So just keep that. Obviously, it's not a true prequel, but think about that. This obviously there are moments that call back to the original Gladiator. There are moments where I'm like, this is Training Day. This is literally Training Day.
It's a big dude without a shirt on, like clapping for the pigeons.
Kinda, yeah. Kinda.
Dude, I love that. I love
Yep.
that idea.
All right, that's all I got for today, Steven. Anything else you wanted to bring up?
I got nothing.
All right then.
I got nothing else.
I am about to hop on a plane, go back to the Bay Area, and I will see you guys on Monday for Dirty Work. And thanks to everybody for being supportive.
You excited?
I'm excited, also
Yeah.
nervous, but more excited.
Yeah.
And Steven, thank you for all your kind words. Thanks to everybody that's been supportive for these like 2 weeks of me getting prepared. It's not going to be the same old traditional sports talk radio show, and I'm not going to be the same old traditional co-host. If anything, just to give you guys a heads up, it's going to be mainly where Copes is the star and I'm going to be the sidekick, and Tim's going to – it's like the best way to describe it is Copes is Conan, I'm Andy Richter, and Tim's going to be Max Weinberg. We're all going to have a role on the show. I will talk, but they'll be like I'm still producing the show too. That's what people fail to say as well. So I have to manage things as well. There might be times where I'm not involved in it with an interview, but it's going to be a fun time, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So
There we go.
here we go, baby. All right, to everybody in the chat today, Ernie 1, Ernie 2, Skills, Danny Golding TV showing up, better late than never. No Tacky today. What the hell? Eat shit. Who else was in here? That fake Derek Papa, D Papa Raider, AJ Cruz. I think that's it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you Monday, and we'll talk to you Tuesday. We recap Week 13 in the NFL. Steven, say what you always say.
Damn it, I don't have an opinion. It's just your opinion, man.